Mishte mi folëm me zotin Hasani edhe për gjykatën speciale, atë që quhet në fakt dhomat e specializuara, prokuroria dhe gjykata speciale. Këtë herë kemi folur me vetë gjykatën speciale për një numër çështjesh që janë me rëndësi për publikun për të ditur një përgjigje të qartë, të pastër dhe të prerë. Në fakt, pyetja jonë e parë ka të bëjë me faktin që kjo gjykatë është duket faktën kështu, nga personat që janë akuzuar deri tani që ka të bëjë vetëm me shqiptarët, pra një gjykatë monoetnike. A është një gjykatë monoetnike? Le të shohim përgjigjen që vjen nga Haga.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having this interview with me today. I want to be really clear on this point, and that is that the Kosovo Specialist Chambers was not created to put on trial any particular ethnic group or organization. The court can only hold accountable persons for crimes committed individually and will not hold accountable any ethnic group, organization, or community. Nor is it the purpose of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers to rewrite history or to challenge any particular historical narrative. So looking concretely at the larger indictment before the court right now, this refers to hundreds of victims who were civilians and persons not taking part in hostilities, coming from a number of different ethnic groups. And it is individuals who are being charged with these alleged crimes on the basis of individual criminal responsibility. As a court of law, our sole business is to conduct fair, impartial, and independent judicial proceedings in which the rights of the accused and other participants in the proceedings are guaranteed, along with the safety and security of witnesses and victims.
Një nga temat e tjera, po çështjet e tjera e cila debatohet shumë në fakt, është me atë nëse kjo gjykat po targeton, pra po shënjestron të gjithë UÇK-n si një organizatë si të tillë. Çfarë mendojnë në gjykatën e Hagës për këtë?
No, this is not the case. As I have said, the specialist chambers can only hold accountable persons for crimes committed individually and will not hold accountable any ethnic group, organization, or community. That means persons who planned, instigated, ordered, committed, or otherwise aided in war crimes or crimes against humanity within the time frame and geographical scope of the court's mandate can be tried. This also includes superiors who failed to prevent or punish perpetrators who were their subordinates. The body of international law about war crimes and crimes against humanity does not say that it is a crime to participate in a conflict or to defend yourself. The alleged crimes relate to crimes against civilians and persons who were not taking part in hostilities. What we have learned so far is that a pretrial judge has examined thousands of pages of evidence and the testimony of more than 150 witnesses and confirmed that the indictment and supporting materials support a well-grounded suspicion that individuals committed serious crimes whose victims were civilians and persons not taking part in hostilities. The purpose of the proceedings conducted by the judges will be to determine through a fair trial, with all international due process rights guaranteed, whether or not the prosecution can prove, beyond a reasonable doubt, that individuals committed crimes. It is not to rewrite history. The judges of the KSC will ensure that the proceedings before this court are conducted in a manner that ensures the protection of the rights of the accused, respect and dignity for victims, and the protection of witnesses.
Dhe sigurisht është ajo temë që shpesh e kemi diskutuar, është lidhur edhe me mandatin e dhomave të specializuara dhe ka të bëjë me një afat kohor, pra kur përfundon punën gjykata speciale. Dim që mandati i presidentes së dhomave të specializuara është dhënë në fakt një mandat i ri, zonjës Trëndafilova, edhe 5 vjet të tjera si presidente e gjykatës, që do të thotë që automatikisht kemi një zgjatje dhe 5 vjet të tjera minimum të mandatit të punës së gjykatës speciale, prokurorisë dhe gjykatës speciale.
Just to be clear, it is provided in law, as adopted by the Kosovo Assembly, that the mandate of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers and the Specialist Prosecutor's Office shall continue until Kosovo is notified by the Council of the European Union that investigations have concluded and that any proceedings by the Specialist Chambers are finished. Therefore, in order for the mandate to continue, no further actions, formalities, or announcements are required. In its recent decision, the Specialist Chambers of the Constitutional Court has confirmed that the language of the Constitution is clear on this point. Both the case of the Specialist Prosecutor versus Salih Mustafa and the case of the Specialist Prosecutor versus Hashim Thaçi, Kadri Veseli, Recep Salimi, and Jakub Krasniqi are currently in the pre-trial phase. During this phase, the pre-trial judge sets the timeline and working plan and issues orders or decisions to ensure the proper and expeditious preparation of the case for trial. The pre-trial judge also rules on any preliminary motions, including challenges to the indictment, challenges to detention, as well as to the jurisdiction of the Kosovo Specialist Chambers. He also may take decisions on victims' participation, as well as on issues related to witness protection. Another important part of the pretrial phase is the process of disclosure. To have a fair trial, the defense must have access to the evidence to be used against the accused during the trial. This is addressed through a process whereby the specialist prosecutor must make available to the defense all supporting evidence to his case. If the defense chooses to present an alibi or other grounds excluding criminal responsibility, it must also make available to the specialist prosecutor the evidence in support of its claim. In the case of the specialist prosecutor versus Hashim Thaçi et al., at the most recent preparatory hearing in November, the defense and the specialist prosecutor's office presented different views about how long the preparations for trial might take. The SPO was estimating an earlier date, around June 2021, while defense counsel was suggesting that more time might be needed until at least June 2022. At this point, the starting date of the trial has not yet been set. Therefore, it is impossible to foresee when the trial will be completed. What I can say is that all of the trials will be conducted by the judges in a fair, impartial, and independent manner, in line with due process and the highest international standards, leading to an outcome based solely on the evidence and the strength of the arguments made by the prosecution and the defense. At the end of the trial, a panel of 3 judges will decide for each charge if the guilt of the accused person was proven beyond a reasonable doubt. In addition, the accused will have the right to appeal a judgment to a separate appeals panel and, under certain circumstances, a right of third instance appeal to a Supreme Court panel.
Kemi diskutuar në fakt disa herë në Ballkan, nëse mandati I dhomave të specializuara prek edhe Shqipërinë dhe Maqedoninë e Veriut. Të ndjekim komentet që na vijnë nga Gjykata e Hagës për këtë çështje. Pra, e thon shkurt, qartë dhe shqip. A ka të bëj mandati I dhomave të specializuara, a ka funksion, a ka fushveprimi edhe në Shqipëri dhe në Maqedoninë e Veriut?
The Kosovo Specialist Chambers and Specialist Prosecutor's Office have jurisdiction over war crimes and crimes against humanity that either were committed or commenced in Kosovo between January 1998 and December 2000, or alternatively, during the same time frame, where either the perpetrator or the victim was from Kosovo or the former Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. For example, in the confirmation of the indictment against Hashim Thaçi and others, the pretrial judge concludes that regarding the crimes listed in the indictment that allegedly occurred on the territory of Albania, such as in Kukes and Has districts, the KSC does have jurisdiction over the respective crimes, as the suspects were born in Kosovo and were allegedly citizens of the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia at all times relevant to the indictment.